Welcome to the Online B2B Festival. It's the bi-yearly edition. This is the spring or the summer edition of our festival. It means that we're going to present you with two online clinics this morning. The first session will be presented by my colleague Tamara and myself, Ingrid. And we're going to talk about the future of account-based marketing and how you turn target accounts into customers. Now, the big red topic, the red line through this morning will be personalization, because after the coffee break, we go deeper and we will look into what you can do to get most out of your website. How do you really look at conversion, account-based conversion and your website and personalization? So that's for today. The morning will be covered by Tamara and myself. The next session will be covered by our colleague Shimon Benayoun and a guest speaker Avishai from Trendimen. So that's the program. Tamara and I. Tamara, you want to present
myself, introduce myself.
Who you are, yes.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tamara Den Hartog. I work at Spot on Vision as one of the senior consultants. And I've been working on a whole lot of ABM projects in the last few years with a broad variety of clients. So I'm really happy to share some insights with you here today, this morning.
Thanks, Tamara. And we're going to present a lot of examples of personalization and how you can convert better. My name is Ingrid Archer. For the people who don't know me yet, I'm the founder of Spot on Vision. Spot on Vision is a B2B agency, and our purpose is to help our clients build meaningful and long-term relationships. In the game of B2B, it is really about long-term relationships building. We work at Spot on Vision for many companies, international companies, European companies, and Dutch companies. And again, if you want to learn more about Spot on Vision, just reach out. We are extremely approachable. Now, for today, we have 45 minutes until the break. Then there'll be a coffee break, 15 minutes. You could just do your thing. And then if you also sign up for the second session, you just leave. You grab a coffee and we'll have a little break, some movies in between, so you could stay watching. If you have questions during this session, use the control panel, the Q&A or the chat. We will send you the recording afterwards, and we will also ask you to please fill out our survey for feedback at the end, because we would like to know what we could do better next time or what topics you would like to learn about more. So what we're going to do today is we're going to look into how B2B buying behavior is changing, why it matters, especially when you're looking at account-based marketing and sales. We're going to talk a little bit about what you need to do to be successful in account-based marketing, why personalization helps you to move accounts through the funnel, but also how it helps you to build loyalty, better experiences. And obviously, we have a lot of best practices and quick wins of personalization related to account-based marketing. So let's dive into the trends. I will give it a start, and then later on I'll hand it to Tamara. Important to understand is that we live in a buyer's market. Now, what do we mean by that? We mean that the buyer is in charge. The buyer decides when to come to you as a supplier. It's no longer that we can rely on our own sales team and knock on our doors. Calling does not work anymore. Buyers don't fill out forms anymore. It's a big shift, if you like. And even more, we looked at research from Sixth Sense. Sixth Sense issued a research in the end of 2024, and it's called the B2B Buyer Experience. Maybe you've seen it before. And one of the results there is that 81% of the buyers contact the vendor that is already on the shortlist, and they stick with the vendor as their final choice. Now, imagine that. It means that most B2B buyers have a shortlist of maybe 3 or 4 vendors or suppliers, if you like, or companies, and they already know beforehand that these are the companies they like to work with, and actually 81% indeed chooses people or companies from the shortlist. This means that if you're not on the shortlist, if you don't have a big reputation, then it will be really hard to be chosen. And that's a big a big message, right? It means that, and I think we've been talking about it more, is that reputation is really important. Getting on the shortlist is really important, but at the same time, the buyers don't contact you quickly. So it means, and I'll go to the next slide, is that we have to take into account that we have to nurture them for a long time, or we have to build that reputation for a long time, because buyers contact sellers when they're ready, instead of responding to our sales or our marketing efforts. So if you look at this chart, it's quite interesting. The buyer initiate contact, roughly, let's take Germany, 88% of the buyer's journey is done without contacting the supplier, which most of us, right? Today in this online clinic, there's mostly suppliers or B2B companies who want to sell something. In the Netherlands, 84% of the buyers contact you when they're ready to talk to you. Now that's a big game, right? It means that you can't just do nothing for that 80%. So if you look at what else that report, and it's a really interesting report, I recommend you read it. If you want a link to the report, we might send it, I guess. I don't know. If not, let me know. We'll send you a link to the report. The most interesting results of that research is that about 11 persons are part of the B2B buying group. This is worldwide. If you zoom in a little bit into, for example, I know that today I have lots of people who live in the Netherlands, that in the Netherlands, in B2B, it is more like 7.6 on average. So the buyer group is a little bit smaller, but still there's like 7 to 11 people you need to influence, stakeholders. Then they evaluate 4.6 vendors on average. They have 187 interactions per group per vendor. Now imagine that. And then in the journey, 860 interactions. And why is that so much? It's because the journey, the buyer's journey, if you look at the calendar at the bottom, can be about a year on average, right? And obviously in some industries, it's a bit quicker, could be 6 months, 4 months. But also in many B2B companies, it can be much longer. It could be up to a couple of years. So this is quite interesting of the report. And then I'll share with you the last thing, the 3 principles of what Kerry Cunningham, the author of the Sixth Sense report, would call the B2B renaissance. He said everything is changing. You really need to look at what has changed and what it means to you as a marketeer or a salesperson. So the biggest thing is that accounts, you need to align marketing and sales together on which accounts you want to target, because account-based marketing and sales proves to be far more successful and efficient. You get a better ROI, but it only works if you work together with marketing and sales and decide together on which accounts to target on. The next thing to be aware of is that you're not targeting just a one individual who maybe could download something and you say, hooray, I have a one lead. This is great. No, you're targeting groups. And in the groups of stakeholders that you're targeting, there could be 7 people, it could be 11 people, but usually a lot of them, depending on what you're selling, in enterprise sales for sure, have a big say in the decision. So you have to think, how will you use your technology and your processes to target groups of buyers instead of just a one lead? And the last one is the B2B buyer journey. We've been talking about that for many years already. Like, hey, you have to adjust your content based on where the person in the buyer's journey is. What happens now? The buyer journey for a big part is a dark funnel, because people do not fill out forms anymore as much as they used to in the past. So that means that we do not know where a buyer is roughly. We don't know that they don't download things anymore in return for their email address, for example, or their phone number. So we really have to look at what you call intent signals. We have to look at dark data from maybe web visitors or other databases. And it's possible to get some of the data to understand where a person is in the buyer's journey. So those things are really important. Those are the principles, if you like, in B2B as we define it today. Talking about definitions, Tamara, account-based.
Yes. Well, thank you for this B2B introduction, Ingrid. And as we can see, selling is getting harder and harder all the time, especially into B2B. But account-based marketing is really a way that is really effective. And we sometimes see like people approach it as a sort of campaign, but it's actually not. It's a strategic go-to-market approach that really coordinates between sales and marketing and makes it a more personalized approach for customers or new customers to make sure that we really get this deep engagement at specific accounts and groups within accounts. And what you can see if we go to the next slide, it's you already mentioned it. We have reputation, which is really important to go on. Don't leave that out, especially if you look at DemGen. Well, there needs to be awareness before potential buyers even reach out to a specific vendor. And it goes actually hand in hand with account-based marketing. So putting these two together is a real effective approach to well, get your selling up in the B2B. And looking at this, we also have a small poll for you because we're really curious about what is your ABM status. So Ingrid, can you take us through the
Yes,
poll?
so we'd like to know where you are, so we could also address your questions maybe better in during this session. So are you already rocking ABM? Is it in the works, but you haven't seen results yet? Could also be possible. Not started yet, tell me more, or not sure whether we should start. So if you could fill out your votes, we're going to look at the results in a minute, but we'll give you a couple of seconds. I'd be keen to know how you see ABM. By the way, we call it ABM. Everybody starts calling it different things because it isn't really just about marketing. We'd like to talk about account-based marketing and sales, right, Tamara, or account-based engagement. You could think of many things.
Yeah,
It's not
otherwise
a
it just
marketing.
sits with the marketing department and that's not true. It is really a mutual effort from sales and marketing, putting all the
Yeah,
inputs together and all
yeah.
the insights together.
Okay, let's close the poll and look at the results for a minute to see how far you guys are. So there's some people here already rocking ABM. That's good to know. And some people are not sure where to start, but the most are in the middle, right? Although 46% not started yet. Tell me more. Okay, we'll tell you more. No worries. Let's go.
And even for the ones that are rocking it already, you might learn here something today, so that would be nice.
Yeah.
All right, well, if we look at ABM or ABM&S, however you want to call it, we call it ABM for today. Our vision, we see reputation and relationship together leads to more revenue. Why do we say this? Well, reputation comes with brand awareness and thought leadership, also making sure new buyers consider you in the process and your current customers see you as credible, first of all. And then if we look at relationships, they should be built with the right key stakeholders. And as we all know, a relationship is not built in a day. It takes time, and you really need to build it up. Not only during the buying process, but also think about getting more insights about your customers, the market, and how it could help you with your innovation. And finally, altogether, this will lead to more revenue, whether it's with new customer or cross and upsells with current customers, because you're actually considered as one of the premier vendors in the process of B2B buying. So all of these things come together when we look at ABM. And then if we look at account-based marketing elements, you see that it's built up from in-depth buyer and account insights, from sales and marketing alignment, and also buyer enablement. And all of these items come together, determining a successful ABM approach. Today, we will dive a little bit deeper in the overlap between in-depth buyer and account insights and buyer enablement, specifically where engaging content sits. And to be fair, it's not just written content such as white papers or blogs, but content in the broadest sense of the word. So also think about online, offline events, roundtables, personalized written content, or gifting, for example. But we'll also take you through like how can we actually make it more personalized in to actually build this relationship?
Tamara, I got a question, and maybe it's good to answer it here. Somebody's asking, in-depth buyer and account insight, is that really needed? Because this person is saying we do account-based marketing by running a LinkedIn campaign. What would you say to that? You
Well,
see it
I'm
more, right?
curious to see like what are the actual pain points you're connecting and the challenges you're connecting to then in that LinkedIn campaign. Because one of the things that is essential in ABM, in our opinion, is to really understand what are the challenges from your potential buyers or your current customers. And how do you actually pitch in with your content into these pain points? How do you set up the right conversation if you actually have no deep insights into this account or into your buyer? As you already mentioned it, Ingrid, we have the buyer journey. People can be all over the buyer journey. You have no idea in what phase they are, so make sure you have content for every phase, that they will always be able to get through this buying process, that they, whatever question that they have, it can be answered. I think
Yeah,
that
and I
is.
would also even say one channel is never good enough, right? If you just run LinkedIn, LinkedIn is very busy these days.
It
And
is, and I think it's a great channel to work on your awareness, for instance, and on thought leadership, which is great, but you need way more touch points
yeah,
actually in your account journey. Yeah? It's not only the buying journey, it's the whole account journey. What are we doing to be in in the vision of these accounts? Where do we touch them?
yeah, no, true. Okay.
Yeah, so we have some main drivers for success. We see, for instance, you already mentioned it, but building alignment and buy-in between marketing and sales, but also do not forget about executive support, for instance. Very important. You need somebody in the board or in the executive area that really supports this, because it's not just a campaign, it is a real strategic approach. And then second, develop capabilities for execution and personalization, making you smart use of resources and insights. So here also the account insights and the buyer journey insights will really help you to personalize your content. And then third, what we see, measuring for impact to make sure that our ABM approach is moving in the right direction. It is something that takes a longer period of time, but you need to measure success also in little steps, just to make sure that you're moving in the right direction, but also making sure that there is enough alignment between marketing and sales all the time. So celebrate these little successes that you have together.
I see another question coming in.
Yeah,
Shall we have a
nice.
look?
Yeah.
Wietse, what significant impact do you see in creating dedicated content for different phases of the buyer journey, I presume you mean? We
Mm-hmm.
only see our clients have challenges for which we write blogs, and we're looking for solutions which are product pages. What more should we do? So if I can understand you probably, Wietse, so you think, okay, we have blogs about challenges and we have product pages for solutions. What more should we do? That's an
Mm-hmm.
interesting one.
Yeah.
I think I have an idea. I don't know. Tamara, what's your
Yeah,
first?
no, give it a go, Ingrid.
First of all, just blogs are not doing the trick anymore. That's my first, and I don't know if you do more, but forever, ever, we've been saying the rule of five. And it means that if you create a piece of content, let's say a blog, try to imagine how you can republish that or repurpose that same content in 5 different ways. So create a video about the topic, create maybe an infographic about the topic, create a white paper about the topic or an ebook, and do a webinar about the topic. So that is one thing. So talking about their chat, don't stick to just a one way of publishing it. Don't do just a one type. So I don't know if that is an answer to your question, Wietse. And then you talk about the product pages for solutions. Yes, you're right, but you can also think of I don't know, it sounds a bit traditional maybe, but PR, what are you doing to promote and talk about your products on other channels than your own product pages. So do you, for example, are you talking about it in a forum, or do you issue press releases, or are you being interviewed on another platform about your product? That would be my answer. I don't know, Tamara, if you have any more tips on this topic.
Yeah, I think client stories and references are also a very strong one to actually take your potential customers along in the story. Look at what other challenges other people from your customer group have or had in the past, and how they were able to solve the problem with your product or service in there. That's also very helpful, and it might be helpful. I mean, once you publish the customer story, usually the customers are also willing to share it with their network. So these kind of things are very helpful as well. But also think about events. Are you actually joining events? Are you showcasing your products there? Are you doing online webinars or your roundtables? There's so many options, but you really need to find out where is your public, where is your group of people you want to approach, and how are you willing to approach them? And are they open to these sorts of approaches and these channels?
Yeah. Okay. We'll have a lot of examples.
Yeah.
So actually we can.
Yeah.
Why does personalization matter? This is from a research report that was issued beginning of this year, presented at our ABM marketing forum in April in Amsterdam. And Trendeman, who's also presenting after us, they show that in big percentages, like they're amazing. But let's start with the right one, because that's the most interesting one. That the 208% increase in pages on your website being read on average. So you go from, what is it, 5%, 10%? I don't know what the benchmark is now, but it can be different for everyone, right? But getting web visitors is already quite hard these days. And to get them to stay on your website and to click and to really convert is really hard. And personalization can help. And that is actually, let's talk a little bit more about the topic of personalization. That's why you came today. So there are many levels of personalization. If you look at this chart, if you go all the way to the left, 100% personalized, you would only do that if there's a big stake, right? Imagine you want to sell something to, I don't know, Boeing, or maybe it's a bad example, a big company, and there's a lot of money at stake, and you want to really have that account. So you do a one-to-one ABM program, and you personalize an event just for that account. You personalize content just for that account. You make a beautiful video just for that account, 100% personalized. On the other end of the spectrum is generic. That's what many of us still do today, is broad content for all target accounts, still a bit relevant, but really quite generic. And then there's everything in the middle. Most of the people that we speak to are roughly doing industry specific or a little bit customized. If you run an account-based marketing program, you try to move a bit more to customized or highly personalized, because obviously, just like you saw before, the more you personalize it, the better your conversion. But it is also, it can be quite a lot of work, because your data has to be right. You have to have the right things. So you have to think about what works for me, how can I do it best? And that is maybe the good start to talk about some of the best practices. And Tamara,
Yeah, Ingrid, adding to this one just shortly, it also depends, like, are we choosing a one-to-few approach or a one-to-one approach? If you're going one-to-one approach, you're usually more on the left side of the spectrum, from highly personalized to 100% personalized. If it goes one-to-few, we usually see like an industry-specific or customized level of personalization is more than enough. It already touches in with the specific target group that you're going for. So it also depends on what approach you're taking there. Keep that in mind, because it's also resource intensive. It can be to personalize.
Can be. Again, that depends on how you use, I don't know, AI, or how you have connected your data. Are all your data properly connected, and can you play around with it? I think many B2C companies do that really well. And in B2B, we're a little bit behind, to be honest. Right?
Yeah. But let's have a look at some best practices then. Well, first of all, you mentioned B2C. Well, if we look at e-commerce, Amazon, for instance, a lot of big e-commerce parties, they use machine learning. So that makes it really easy for developers to add personalized recommendation to customers who use their applications. So we're all familiar with either Amazon or Bolt.com or these kind of big vendors. But this is mainly B2C, although sometimes it can be used in B2B as well. But most importantly, it reflects Amazon's vast experience in building personalized systems here. So I think it's a nice example. Keep this in mind if you're doing something with e-commerce as well. But even more so, if we look at Indeed, for instance, they're big in recruitment. They used buyer personas to create a very targeted and personalized marketing campaign that drove significant results for their business. What they did, they took the happiness report. Happiness at work matters to people and to companies itself. And by segmenting the audience and creating personalized messaging, they were able to reach out to specific target accounts and to actually drive a lot of door opening conversations for sales, a lot of sales meeting, but also they were able to have meetings with C-level. So using your report, your data, and actually personalize it towards a specific account. They made specialized videos here to reach out to people, and it really worked very well. So I think this is also a nice example of how to use a report. Well, if we look at account content to personalize that more, well, always look at your current content. What do you already have available? For this customer, we used existing content, say an ebook, white paper, and we really personalized it towards a specific retail account that they wanted to approach. Think about images, for instance, customer cases. They also used a pop-up store, a little pop-up store you see on the side, with QR codes to explain more about their services. And the nice thing about it is you send it to a specific account and they can actually put it on their desk or wherever, somewhere in the company, and it's visible. So these are like little things that you could do to personalize it towards a specific either account or a retail sector in here. And this is one of my personal favorites as well. Working for Signify, they did a one-on-one approach for one of their big installers. And we organized an in-person event for this one-on-one approach. We invited these people to come over and also to get more insight in the way of work, the processes that were going on at Signify and the back end. So we developed a snack box specifically for these installers because they're out on the road most of the time. And we also developed an infographic where one of the internal processes was explained for them. And we also included contact persons, for instance, with an image and a phone number and, really specific contact details. So it was really personalized specifically for this group of people. And it also led to new and stronger relationships in there. So that was really helpful. Well, another one to inspire you, for one of our customers, we really wanted to get to a new account. It was difficult to get in. So what our team did, they looked in all of the LinkedIn profiles, and one of the IT managers apparently was a big fan of Elf. I don't know what year you were born, but like Elf was this TV series back in the days. And they actually just made a box of cookies with Elf on top of it, and a nice message come with it to have a door opening conversation. And the IT manager was just blown away. He was like, "Oh wow, you really dug into my personal interest level, actually." So here also a handout, personalized gifts, and building this pleasant experience was very helpful. And it doesn't always need to be that serious. Sometimes it's just fun to do something like this, and it really touched on his personal level. So yeah, we finally got to this account and had some door opening conversations. So that was really helpful.
It brings me to the topic of, and I see a question coming in like, this is all quite expensive maybe to do, and that is
Mhm.
true. I remember when visiting an event last November in London about ABM, the ABM forum in the UK, that I think it was one of the speakers, one of the keynote, he was saying also that when you define your target accounts before you even start, you have to think already beforehand, how much money am I prepared to spend? So if you don't have a lot of budget, then please do not choose to go after many one-to-one accounts, because you want to build personal experiences, and usually you need budget for that. Right, it pops up right now when I'm looking at these examples, because these accounts were really important, and they knew beforehand that they wanted to spend budget, right, Tamara?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, yeah, this is way more personalized. Yes, definitely take your resources into account beforehand. And sometimes we also see like people coming up to us saying, "Hey, I want to do one-on-one, but I want to do it for 15 accounts." Well, you might need to think about that twice and maybe go for one to few, which is also perfectly fine. But see like what are the commonalities between these accounts and how can we easier personalize these pieces of content. And I think maybe the next example is already helpful. Cyclomedia, I don't know if you know it, but it's a company that has somewhat of a similar service to Google Maps, but specifically for engineers. So how can you build up a city? And they wanted to win over new customers at municipalities in different big cities within Europe, in France, England, and Spain, for instance. So what they did, they really personalized their campaign with specific images and local channels. So they choose local PR channels to get their service more known, awareness. But also, when they created their LinkedIn campaign, they used specific images from specific cities. So it would have been weird if people in Barcelona would have been targeted with images from London, for instance. So it was really specific for this city where these LinkedIn campaigns were drawn to. So this is also a way of personalization. It doesn't always need to be like big and bold out there. Think about using just a right image, just a right customer case, maybe a different quote. One example, we don't have this in this presentation, but like one of our customers was targeting health companies in the health sector. A little difference. Instead of using the word client in your ebook, use the word patient, because health companies or organizations don't talk about clients, they talk about patients. And it can be just as simple as that, as long as you step into their shoes and really try to understand their world. And again, that's why the insights from the accounts and the bar journey are so important.
And talking about budget, obviously we can do far more these days using AI, right? And we'll come
Yeah,
to
yeah,
examples.
that's really helpful, definitely. And also, if you're looking, well, we talked about Trend Demon already a couple of times. Think about personalizing your home pages. With just a small tag or a small program like Trend Demon, you're able to switch out homepage images, for instance, or text or titles. But also, if you look at the side on the right side of this image, you see recommended case studies. They can be matched with the target audience you're actually targeting. So in this way, it also makes it easier online to personalize your content without making whole new homepages for every target group. They just know based on the IP addresses who to target and what content to serve actually.
Yeah, and it really, really works. So, and you could start like tomorrow. That's actually
Yeah,
an easy one,
easy
right?
win. Yeah.
Another poll. So we're asking you to look at how are you currently using personalization? Starting to explore basic, some manual personalization you're doing, fully automated, or a mix of manual and automated. Please put your votes in, but also if you have nice ideas or nice examples on how you're doing it, what you're doing, put it in the chat so other people can also see your ideas. So we invite you to open the chat box and type your own experiences in there on personalization. So we take a little bit longer than normal for this one. So we fill out the poll and you open your chat and you just share some ideas. That would be nice. And maybe you want to share some ideas on how you use AI, which is also interesting,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I think we're using it quite often these days, and there's so many options to use it,
Mhm.
whether it comes to visuals, personalizing visuals, content, written content, but also videos. Think about tools like HeyGen, where you can actually make videos very, very quickly using one of your own colleagues as an avatar or an imaginary avatar. It's really
Yeah.
helpful.
Okay, let's close the poll for
Yeah.
now. And what do we see? Starting to explore some basic. Nobody's fully automated yet, which to be honest is good because fully automated is still sometimes going wrong or it's too generic, so you got to be really good to do that fully automated. And then some people say, hey, there's a mix. So let's move on because we have about 10 minutes left, and while you're at it, if you want to put things in the chat, please do so, because then also you inspire the other people on this goal. That would be nice.
Yeah.
So quick wins.
Yeah, some quick
Tamara.
wins. We have three quick wins that we want to at least give to you, like think about it and start being creative. As already mentioned, tweak existing content. So think about what content do we already have, what is in here, how can we make it easy instead of think about, oh, we need to write a new blog or a new webinar or whatsoever. Look what you already have. On the side, you see an example of Odido, where they targeted healthcare. Well, what they did, they made a specific landing page, but more importantly, they took one of their ebooks that was already there. I already mentioned it, like changing the names from customer to or client or customer to patient. And it's really easy to do it in that way. Just make sure you think of your target group very well. Adjust images, quotes, and client cases. That could also be very helpful if you already have it. Just sometimes it's also a way of mixing and matching there. Well, we already mentioned it, AI. So for instance, use AI to personalize your videos. In the past, it was a whole hassle to set up a video and you needed a crew and an editor and all these kind of things. Well, for instance, also in our own campaigns, we use tools like HeyGen, where we, in this case, have our colleague Deborah talking about a specific project that we send out through our LinkedIn channels afterwards. But it's easier to do your outreach on a way more personalized way with videos and AI.
Tamara, for those who don't know what HeyGen is, maybe
Oh,
you want to
sorry.
explain how it
Yeah,
works?
yeah, yeah. It is a tool where you can actually set up an AI video. So in this case, we videoed Deborah for a little bit, and it took over her voice, her way of moving actually. And we were also able to let her tell a story. So we just filled in the text that she needed to say out loud. And it mixed and matched the whole view of Deborah with the right text. So we basically
Yeah.
needed to record her once, and we could do the whole thing afterwards. But think also about somebody, I think it was Wietse or someone in the room asked something about product pages and product videos. This is a great way to have somebody present your products in a video. And you can
Yeah.
fill in the whole text and somebody would just explain it to you.
You only have to record once, so
Yeah,
it's really cool. You record once, make sure that the mouth makes all the movements that that sort of to pronounce
that's a
all
bit of a challenge
the
still today.
words,
Yeah.
right? And then you can make numerous, endless movies without any effort.
Yeah, and we use HeyGen, but we have several. There's so many tools in the market. Just go for it. And then personalization and holidays. Well, one of the easiest things to do is think about, okay, what holiday is coming up? Right now we have a summer coming up, so we from Spot on Vision we developed a personal outreach campaign with summer taken in mind, but also think about, well, the usual, the Christmas, the Easter, birthdays, for instance, or what about if you know that somebody's getting married or moving. So that also really helps to reach out in a very personalized way without making it too complicated. You just need to have hooks there.
Yeah, cool. Thanks. Then we are going to, I see key takeaways. I also see a tip coming out. It was sent to the host and the panelists so the others can't see it. It's quite nice. So let's first do this and then we'll come to the to some of the tips. Blending a long-term strategy with tomorrow's quick wins. I think one of the key messages we would like to give is that account-based marketing and sales is a long-term strategy. So if somebody says, hey, we want to do that in the next 2 months, and hey, I want leads tomorrow, or I want 15 meetings or 60 meetings by the end of next month, that is hard. If you want to do it properly, you build that and think of that the 3 circles where you do your proper account research, where you create the engagement content to engage with it, and when you align your sales and marketing and you have the tools and the data together. So yes, you can do some quick wins. Please do them, but also think about it as a long-term strategy. That's, I think, the main thing. And then to wrap it up, think big, start small, be always on. So don't stop. Don't stop after 3 months. Account-based marketing and sales is a long game. So if you look at this drawing, there are many things in here. There's some building blocks at the bottom of the bottom shelf of the shop. There's some quick wins on the board on the right that you could start with tomorrow. Think of social selling. Think of doing a quick thing on your website or making some better content. Adjust it. So there are some quick wins to be found. And again, there's lots of things you can do by starting small. Do a pilot if you don't know. That's, I think, for now. There are some questions maybe still. So let's look at the questions, or let's look at the, we don't have a lot of time left, but I think, Wietse, you're giving a lot of tips. That's quite nice, but they don't go to the people. So let's read out what you're doing. That might be nice for the others to learn. What you're saying, after an inbound request, we qualify leads, including a lot of questions regarding the challenges. Based on these answers, we prepare a demo meeting and dive deeper into their challenges. So you try to tailor your demo. It's a really great tip to do, to tailor your demo. So that's cool. There's some other things there, but looking at the time, I would like to move on. There's one more question that I would like to address. Tamara, the question is, what tools do you need if you want to get started with ABM or with personalization? What would you suggest?
I think not start with tooling right away, to be honest. Keep it small. And usually what we see is people are thinking about a whole big tech stack. No big tooling is needed, I think. Think about these little AI tools that you could use. Think about Trendemon as a tool. But most of all, look at the current content, for instance, that you could already use. Wietse also mentioned it in the chat, like HeyGen is a great tip for product pages. And I think his remark that it says would probably make the videos from our engineers more smooth. They don't need to be movie stars anymore. And I think that might be a problem, or a problem, something that goes around in a lot of companies. We're not movie stars. No, we're not. And it's great to have tools like this to make it run the content much more smoother. So keep it small and start. Don't go into big tooling straight away. I don't think that's needed.
No. Okay, cool. Obviously, you
I
have
don't
to
think
think
if you
of
do you have
data.
anything to add? Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to scale personalization, you will need proper data, and
Yeah,
then you will need some tools to do that. But keeping your data clean, collecting first-party data is really, really important.
yeah,
We have 3 more slides. One, you can scan this QR code, and then we have an infographic for you about account-based marketing and sales, which bits you can definitely always do in-house. If you're not sure yet what to outsource, we put it in an overview for you. Which bits can you start with tomorrow, and where can you actually ask for some help? So that is one. The next up, you're going to get these slides, so I guess you could get the recording so you could see it later as well. So you can scan this QR code. The same for the next one. We issue a monthly newsletter where we give you updates on B2B, the latest B2B marketing events. We do a lot of master classes, we have an academy, we have webinars, and so on. So if you scan here, you could sign up to our spot on updates. So that might be really nice. So we can stay in touch with you and keep on sort of inspiring you with new content, new things that we come across.